I don't know if Adam told you this, but he literally came up in between a take and strangled me, like, and he was like laughing when he was doing it, but like the pressure was there, and I was like, I don't think he's really joking. Like, maybe I should have cut the blast like 4 bars ago. But you know, knowing that all these guys are super talented, you know, I like to push it, you know, and just see how far we can take it.
Derek, it's great to talk to you. Gold is coming February 21st. That's going to be here very soon. It's always fun when SCOUR puts out something. We've had some EPs before. How excited are you about this full length, the first full length coming out?
Pretty excited, gotta say. It's been a long time in the works. Like you said, we've had a few EPs, but this is the first full length. So this is like, it's kind of like a rebirth of the band, really. So yeah, it was a long time putting this album together, with the recording starting in January of 23, actually. So yeah, it was a long time in the works, but here we are finally.
So for people that don't know SCOUR as they're watching this, even though the band has been interviewed, not yourself, but Adam, in the past for the EP releases, people that are new to this band should know that this is, I mean, side project is a term that maybe is not always a wanted term necessarily, but everybody in this band is super busy with a ton of other stuff. So you kind of know going into this that you're going to have to write and record and maybe even play when all these stars align. You know that going into that, that's a very different approach from all the other stuff that you guys are working on, I'm sure. How is that a weird muscle to develop for this group of people?
I don't think it is. When it started, that was kind of like the intent, is that everybody had a lot of stuff going on. Back then I was in Cattle Decapitation. Phil was pretty busy with like Superjoint and The Illegals before I joined them, and Misery Index, Pig Destroyer, Lockup. I mean, we could just go down the line, but so it was always kind of, you know, that was the idea, that we're just going to do this when we can. And I think over time it's taken a little more precedent, and, you know, just kind of fit in where we get in, really. But it's kind of interesting that if it is a side project, it doesn't really mean that there's any like less work to be done. Seems like I'm doing something for SCOUR like every single day, which I wouldn't have it any other way, really, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So like, knowing with like obviously how hard it is to get everybody, you know, in the same place, what are you most excited about? This album coming out, or, you know, Milwaukee Metal Fest coming up, where we'll get to see you guys play on a really cool bill? That festival has been shaping up really nicely. What's more exciting for you, that sharing this music publicly, or having one of those few occasions that you can actually play this stuff, knowing full well that playing this music is quite the workout for everybody involved?
Yeah, I think first, I'm most excited to get this album out. Just because, like I said, we started recording like a couple years ago, and finally for it to get released, you know, I've heard these songs 1.5 million times, so it's exciting for other people to hear it, and those that have like, the reception's been really well. People are kind of saying it sounds like a step up, really, from what we were doing, and which is awesome to hear. Haven't really heard too much negative feedback, so I'm really looking forward to the album coming out. But of course, anytime the SCOUR boys get together, it's always a good time. And if, you know, Milwaukee Metal Fest is going to be huge, and looking forward to that for sure. And hopefully some other stuff down the line when everything comes together.
what's the significance of the number 13 with this album? There are 13 songs on this album, and just, I don't know how serious of a thing that was, or if it was just a joke, but Adam did mention to me before that it was a very conscious decision of the band to have 3 EPs with 6 songs on each EP, so that it would be like 666 to be ultra fucking metal. Now we have 13, a number that means a lot of different things in a lot of different cultures. Can be transformation, can be restart. You already call this is a rebirth of the band. It obviously also means bad luck in more like popular culture, if you will. Am I chasing ghosts here, or is there some significance to this song, to this number?
No, you're pretty much right on the money. It's funny, no one's asked me that yet. And a lot of people haven't even noticed that the 3 EPs each had 6 songs. So that was by design originally, even without Phil knowing about it. When John Jarvis and I put it together, we were like, we're going to have 3 EPs, 6 songs each. Yeah. And, we kind of let Phil know after each one that the plan was going on. But, 13 was a very conscious number. We had a couple more tracks for this album, but I whittled it down to 13 for tons of reasons. I've never heard the bad luck thing, so let's hope that's not the case. But
Friday the 13th.
Well, we're huge horror buffs, so it's kind of a good number for us.
There you go.
It goes in. There's a lot of deep reasons. I mean, even if you want to dive into like the Matrix and all this stuff, but it was definitely conscious, and even like my guitar player Mark Kloeppel has been like shrouded in the number 13 for years. I remember him telling me about it, and like we'll go to a movie or something and he'll sit down and seat 13, and like things like that. But it's got some deep meaning, and there's little Easter eggs throughout, like the even like the number of the record on the spine is HC0589. So for those who want to dive deep, take a look into that number and see what it means. But it's a lot about change and the golden age that we're entering, and it just ties all together with the Gold album, Gold Next Rule. So it's worth exploring, but it was intentional, and most things that we do are intentional. And if you really look into it in the liner notes, there's not much to it, but if you look into like our notes and stuff, you'll find little Easter eggs throughout all the albums.
Gold, not just a theme or the name of the album, but the song for me is kind of like the standout song. Now, I've had a chance to listen to the full album. I'll need to listen to it many more times to properly digest it, because there's a lot going on. Like, you cram a lot of notes in a few minutes often. But it kind of feels like a good song as like a calling card for the band, because it gets that black metal element for sure, but there is that grindcore in there. There is that, old school thrash in there as well. It kind of all comes together. The song also, not ebbs and flows, but there's an evolution within the song as well. Like, we get these different elements in the spotlight different times. Knowing that you just said that everything is by design, does that mean that this was a song written to be the title track and therefore needs to be somewhat special, or has to cover the whole atmosphere of this album? Or is it more like, we wrote this song, really, really like it, that's why it's going to be the title track? Like, help me understand how that works.
Well, the way SCOUR is written kind of comes in 2 parts. Like, I write all the music, and then Phil does all the lyric stuff. So this song was actually the first song written for the new album, and I didn't really expect it to be the title track. Okay. It did have different elements, like that thrash element that you're talking about. It's kind of not the typical SCOUR sound. Right. But when Phil put all the lyrics together, he had these lyrics, and Gold was just happened to be in the lyrics, and I don't think he even realized that we were going to be going for Gold, the album title. So when it all came together, he was like, oh, well, this is perfect, and this is the title track. And it just kind of worked out that way. And if you look at it from like a song arrangement, this is like kind of like the last song of the album, because there's Gold, and then like a interlude, and then Serve, which is kind of like the ending song, which is a very big not big departure, but it touches different themes and elements that SCOUR wouldn't normally do, more like epic themes. And so like Serve, the final track, kind of like wraps it up, but Gold kind of stands alone as like the final like offering of like that collection. So that's kind of how it really just came about, I guess.
Should we look at the last track as a setup for what's to come then, in a way?
Not necessarily. It was more just like an epic theme that is not super minor chord and evil sounding. So I just felt like it was a good thing to wrap up the album. I think the album as a whole is kind of like what you're going to see moving forward.
Okay.
It's kind of interesting. The last track, Serve, like the chorus, was something that I wrote like 25 years ago on a keyboard. So if you listen to it, you can kind of make that out. Like it kind of sounds like a keyboard, I guess, if you will. But I think moving forward, you're going to see more guitar work and stuff. Like when we first started out, the Gray EP was very minimal, like one or two riffs, got rid of all the tech, and that was like totally by design and extremely minimal. And over time, we were kind of like, well, it's okay to expand a little bit, you know? So I think that's kind of the direction we're heading.
I mean, I briefly mentioned Adam before. Like, you know, he's an insanely talented drummer. Like, there's a lot of musicianship in this band that, for you as the person that writes the music, gives you a very broad palette to play with, if you will. I also remember from talking to other band members, like how like sometimes these songs in the past have been recorded when they had time at a party and stuff like that, and in very few takes, and pressure was on to get it right. I still like go back to the drum playthrough video of Doom of the Red EP to like show to somebody what insane metal drumming is like. Does that make you like all these elements like a bit of like a kid in a candy store? Like, do you have like, oh, let's see how I can, like, you know, how crazy can I get the band to play? This must be a lot of fun for you.
It is. Well, because I know Adam's a total beast on the kid.
Yeah.
And so I really push the envelope a little bit on like how much blasting can he take before he kills me. And actually in the studio, I don't know if Adam told you this, but he literally came up in between a take and strangled me, like, and he was like laughing when he was doing it, but like the pressure was there, and I was like, I don't think he's really joking. Like, maybe I should have cut the blast like 4 bars ago. But you know, knowing that all these guys are super talented, you know, I like to push it, you know, and just see how far we can take it. Yeah. So yeah, it's been great. Like these guys I grew up with, all the SCOUR boys from St. Louis, and then obviously not Phil, but
right.
I know they're super talented, so it's like I try to just use their strengths and just push it as much as I can, really.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite comments on that video is like, I assume it's still there, that's been a few years now, is like, after this video, the drum set needed a cigarette. Or something like those. Now, Phil, right? Phil is obviously not from St. Louis, but everybody knows Phil. Phil writes the songs. He's a great performer. A lot of people also, like with the new Pantera reunion or celebration shows, let's call them. A lot of people seem to agree that it's a good thing that Phil is keeping his mouth shut a lot as well. Like, Phil is a colorful character. He can be a bit of a distraction. He's done some stupid shit. He's throughout his years had to apologize a few times. He's changed his own life in different directions many times. like going into this, which is a very important project to you, like, you know, with Phil, you not always know what you're gonna get. And that can be really positive. That can sometimes be a little bit difficult for a creative mind behind a band. Like, is that a conversation that you had to have at times with him? Like, hey, this is what we want to do, or how did that go?
Well, it's never really had any conversation about that. Phil wears his heart in his sleeve, and that's what we love about him. On this album in particular, he went to a kind of a really dark place lyrically, some pretty evil shit. And then he was even like asking us, he's like, "Is it too much? I can redo it?" And we're like, "We're not going to make you redo it, man. It's SCOUR, it's evil as fuck, and
Right.
we love it." But yeah, it's not something that we try to direct him, because I want him to be into it, and it's he pulls from all these obscure sources, and like I know some of like the earlier stuff was even like from this notebook that he's had his whole career, like even the Pantera days, early Pantera days, like he'd write something down that was like completely obscure that wouldn't fit like Cowboys from Hell or something, and has used it in SCOUR songs. So we've never really tried to pigeonhole him into anything. It is funny though that he's like willing to like redo stuff, but I would say for us, like you have to listen to the album like 3 times through, and then that's when it all clicks, and then you kind of understand the genius behind what he did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not always what I would expect the lyrics to be, or like the vocal structure, but in the end it's like perfectly SCOUR, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And if we just kind of forget about the lyrics for a second and the themes, but just the performance, like Phil does a lot of things. He's in a lot of projects. Everybody knows that. But for me, over the years now, SCOUR has kind of become, and this is my opinion, SCOUR has kind of become this outlet that truly shows how diverse he is as a singer. And what I think makes him stand out with SCOUR is, especially in a lot of, I'll call it high intensity, high technical black metal-ish music, sometimes the singer can drown in that when there's a lot of stuff going on, intensity super high. But even in these really insane songs, Phil somehow can bring a pronunciation that is super clear, which I think is really, really impressive. And let's be honest, 6 years ago, even though he's done a million projects and has dabbled in black metal before, Phil would have never been labeled as, oh, he's like a go-to black metal singer, right? Like, not at all. So when you first started working with him on that, is that something that you also kind of had like, I wasn't expecting this?
Yeah, when we first talked about it, we were kind of, he was asking us like, what are you looking for? Like Gorgoroth or this and that. And I was like, honestly, we just want you to do you. And it was kind of surprising, like what came out of it. And it's really prominent on this record, like some of like the low gutturals that he does.
Yeah.
With the pronunciation, like you're saying.
Yeah.
I think that's really fucking awesome, to be honest. Like it makes it stand apart, from like, say like Dark Funeral, one of my favorite bands, but they do hit the lows, of course, but Phil's got his own unique voice. So I don't know. It's really cool too. Like I've been asking for every album that we've done. I was like, let me get some spoken word. Cause he's got the voice,
Right.
And he never gave it. But on this album, there is a few spots where he does it.
Yeah.
Even on like our new song, we just released Blades. There's a couple spots. So that was a treat for me. To have the spoken word on my album, but Yeah, I don't know. We never really knew what to expect from Phil, but I just feel like it's been like more and more refined. And it's not like he hasn't done gutturals before. Like
Right.
the Illegals records, he gets super brutal, almost in like a Portal type way. But I just think it fits really well with his music.
If you were a traditional band, I would say something along the lines of like, hey, you know, album's coming out, it's early in the year, lots of time to promote it, we're going to see you everywhere. Obviously, with you guys, we're not going to see you everywhere, or we're going to see you sometimes, and hopefully more than less. But realistically speaking, people like me that like your stuff, what can we keep our eyes open and fingers crossed for 2025?
Well, definitely going to be in Milwaukee, which is kind of wild because Phil's going to be touring with Pantera with Metallica. I mean, like you would think that'd be enough for anybody, but in between that, he's doing Down, SCOUR, throwing all this stuff like literally like within the week of his like week off. But we're doing Milwaukee Metal Fest, and then we do have some offers for later in the year. We're just kind of hammering it out and see where we can fit in. Can't really say too much, you know. I'd love to tour with SCOUR 12 months out of the year, but just kind of whenever everybody's available. But there is some stuff, offers. It just kind of depends if it works out, really.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll keep our eyes open for what you could potentially announce if those stars align. Derek, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. It's always exciting to see you guys put out new stuff. And lots of Easter eggs for us to go dive into and figure everything out. Thank you so much for your time today. And I hope to see you guys play on a stage in 2025.
My man. Thanks for having me.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.